Hello everyone, this is Mukunthan Ragavan, and this video we are going to see the Git stash. Let's see this Git stash in a very practical way. Imagine there are three characters. Arjun, a software developer working on the new feature. Bob, Arjun's colleague who is working on another part of the project. Carol, a senior developer who advises Arjun and Bob on best practices. Scene 1. Arjun starts working on the new feature. Arjun is working on the future branch of the project. He starts developing new feature and makes several changes to the multiple files. In the middle of his work, Bob informs that there is a critical bug on the main branch. Immediately, Arjun has to switch to the main branch and give the fix. What would be the Arjun thought process? I need to save my current changes before switching branches to work on the bug fix. That would be the normal thought process for everyone. Nobody wants to lose their temporary changes. Then Arjun's initial solution was, I will create a temporary commit to save my changes. And he might have used git add dot, which adds everything to the staging area, git commit with the message saying work in progress, new feature work, maybe the story number. Then Arjun switches to the main branch, fixes the bug, commits the changes, pushes the fix. Even though it solves the problem, but it has the issue having unnecessary temporary commits in the Git history, which is not the best practice. We should not have any temporary commits inside the Git history. Then the same scenario happens next time, but this time Bob suggests another up. Bob notices Arjun's temporary commit and suggests a new method. Arjun, instead of making temporary commit, you could clone the same repository into another folder and switch branches there. This way, you can keep your work separate. You don't need to make the temporary commits. Yes, Bob is correct in one way, but still it is not the best practice. Why? Because if we have the multiple folders having the same repo, first of all, it takes the disk space and also it creates the sync problem. For example, if you make the changes in one particular branch in folder A, then folder B will not have the same change. Then you need to push from folder A to the remote, and from remote you need to pull the changes to the folder B. Even though you have the two different folders points to the same remote repository, then maintaining these two or multiple folders will be cumbersome, confusing, and out of sync. Scene 3. Carol explains the Git stash. Carol comes into picture by seeing Arjun and Bob were discussing about their methods. Now Carol explains, Hi Arjun and Bob, I noticed you are discussing ways to manage your work in progress. While temporary commits and multiple clones can work, let me show you how Git stash can help. Then both Arjun and Bob were ready to see that. Then Carol explains, with Git stash, you can temporarily save your changes without committing them, which avoids the temporary commit and it makes clear branches and clear folders without managing multiple clones. Further, she proceeds and explains the steps. First, you will stash your changes by using the command git stash save by giving the optional name. Then switching to the main branch or another branch, then you will do the changes and fixes. You will follow the normal process git add dot git commit and git push origin. Then obviously after completing your fix for the critical bug, you will return to the future branch, git checkout future branch. Then you want to get back your git stash, you will just use the command git stash pop. So by using git stash, you can easily save your progress, switch branches, come back to your work without cluttering your commit history or managing multiple clones. It was so nice. Both Arjun and Bob were excited and follow the same for the coming days. Let's try to imitate the same scenario practically. Let's go to our branch, future branch. Now I am currently in the future branch. Git status, no, nothing changes. Let's go to the sample file and make some temporary changes. Maybe consider this as a in progress changes. No, you are in middle of the changes. Now see the git status. Now you have the modified file. In real time scenario, you might be having the multiple files. Maybe modified, created, deleted. There will be a lot of combinations. Imagine at this point of time, you are getting the call to switch to the main branch and to give the fix. Let's try to switch to the main branch. Now you are getting the error. Error is saying your local changes to the following files would be overwritten by checkout. Please commit your changes or stash them before you switch branches. So basically, if you have the in progress copy without commit, you cannot switch branches. Either you need to commit or you need to stash. Commit is possible or commit is suggested in case you completed your future totally, or you complete your changes already 100%. Then you can use the git commit. Otherwise, it would be the temporary commits, which is not the best practice. Then the next possible way would be stash them. Let's see how to stash it. Git stash, save, work in progress, and the demo file. Basically, you can give any optional description about your git stash. How to see all the stashes that you have made. For example, you can make multiple stashes. By using the git stash list, you can see all the stashes. As you progress, you will have the stash at 0, at 1, at 2, and so on. And you can have multiple stashes. For simplicity, we will do single stash here. Now try to switch to the main branch. You will not have any problem. Before switching to the main branch, let's go to the actual file and see whether the changes are there or not after stashing. After stashing, you actually take out all your temporary changes and put it into the stash. That's the reason now it came back to the original state. Now git switch main. Now you are able to switch to main. Imagine you have done all the necessary bug fixes and changes in the main branch. You committed, you pushed it, and now you are ready to come back to the future branch. Git switch future one. Now again in the future one. Let's go to the file and see do we have that or not. Till we don't have our temporary changes and we know that it is in the stash. Again one more time you can see the git stash. By using the git stash list you can see all the stashes. We have only one work in progress demo file. By using the git stash apply stash at the exact index you can mention. In our case it's a simple 0 only and you can get the changes back. Git stash apply will apply the changes to your current branch without removing from the stash tag. If you use the pop that we have seen in the PPT, pop will take very latest one from the top. Let's use the apply because even if you do mistakes you can again reuse it. If you use the pop it will be taken out of the stack and it no more available. Let's use git stash apply and the exact stash name stash at 0. Enter. Now again you are in the same state before you switch to the main branch. It was modified and the modified file is demo.txt. If you go to the file again, if you reload it, you can see in progress changes for today. Now you can continue from where you left. So this is the simple way you can use the git stash. Imagine after some time you have multiple stashes. Then very simple, git stash clear will clear all the things. Now git stash list should show 0 records or no records. Yes. There are a lot of other stash commands. For example, git stash directly it pushes to the stash stack and you can use the git stash save and even you can use the untracked files in case if you are using the untracked files then git stash -u. Even if you want to include the ignored files you can use the git stash -e and applying the stashed changes we have seen and pop and you can even mention the specific stash index to get the specific stash out of that. Listing the things, git stash list, git stash drop, and even you can drop specific stash, git stash clear, delete all the stashes, show detail, recent stash, you can mention -p and you can apply the specific ones and git branch from the stash. Imagine you want to create the branch from the stash. Even that can be done, git stash branch and the branch name. If you want to apply a specific stash, because when you apply the first command, it might create the very recent one, which are at the top. If you want to apply a specific stash, which is suggested way, you can use the git stash branch new feature and you can create the stash. You can create the new branch and apply a specific stash to it can be done in a single command git stash branch, the new feature branch name and the stash name. In our case, stash at the index name. And we have seen the simple workflow, stashing it, seeing the changes and applying it by using the specific stash and dropping by using either drop and specific stash or git stash clear. To summarize everything, git stash is very much required over the temporary commits and multiple clones because it will give the clean commit history. It will give the disk space efficiency, convenience and simplicity, save and reversible. Even you can create the branch from the stash. So this way you will have the stash command very useful in case if you have the scenarios for switching to the different branches and you have the in progress items. And this is all about this video and always be a rainbow in others cloud.